So you've brought your bees home. Now what? The first step is getting them into their new home in your brand new hives. In these packages, there are about 3,500 bees per pound. And once they're in the hive, they'll go to work almost immediately, doing what bees do best. To keep the bees calm and docile while you're transferring them, generously spray them with a 50-50 mix of sugar water. The next step is removing the can of sugar syrup that the bees feed on during transport. At this point, you may also want to spray them with a little bit more sugar water to be sure that they're really docile. Next, you'll have to find the small box which contains the queen. Remove it and check to see that the queen is alive and healthy. Then set that small box aside for now. Remove 4 frames from the center of the hive to make room for the bees. Turn the package of bees upside down and begin dumping the bees into the hive box. It's okay to give the box a good shaking to get all the bees out. They're still calm and distracted by the sugar water spray. When you have most of the bees emptied from the box, set that box near the entrance of the hive so any stragglers can easily make their way in. Take your hive tool and gently spread out the bees inside the hive. Don't worry if a few bees fly away, they'll find their way back to the hive. You can add a few more sprays of sugar water at this time too. Find the queen cage and carefully remove the plug, making sure she doesn't fly out immediately. Replace that plug with a marshmallow. This allows the other bees in the colony to eat, get used to the queen's scent and pheromones before she's released in the hive. They'll eat their way through the marshmallow in a day or two and release her into the hive. The queen cage can be attached to one of the center frames with the included hook. Now you can add the rest of the frames in, making sure they're snug up against one another so the bees don't have too much space. In the next day or two, you'll want to come back to check on your hive to see that the queen has been released and the bees are starting to build comb. At that time, remove the small queen cage and be sure all frames are closely fit together towards the center of the hive. If you are loading bees when there are not many flowers, you can place a pollen patty on top of the frames. Place the inner cover back on the hive. Next, place a bucket feeder filled with a simple sugar solution on top of the inner cover. Before you put the bucket feeder on, make sure to let it drip a bit to create a vacuum seal and so that it won't continuously drip in the hive. Place an empty, deep hive body on the top of the hive to protect the feeder. Then place the outer cover back on the hive. As an extra precaution, you may want to place a large rock atop of the hive to keep it secure on windy days. And that's it. You're done. No bee stings. In the next 30 days, you'll want to come out to your hives at least once a week to check and make sure they're building comb and starting to lay eggs. Be sure to check their sugar water and refill the feeder as necessary. After flowers start to bloom, they'll rely less on the sugar water, but in the first few weeks, they'll go through a lot of it. After about 30 days, an additional hive box will need to be added to give the bees enough space to continue growing their colony. Bees will build comb from the center of the hive outwards. So when you see comb beginning to appear on the 2 outer frames, it's time to put on another box. Ongoing checks are important to ensure the health of your bees. Be sure to look for signs that the colony is filling up each hive box so you know when it's time to add another to give them plenty of space. If you don't do this, the colony might swarm or leave the hive to find another place to live that has more space for them. Beekeeping, a simple hobby with sweet rewards.